Hey everybody, Levi Clay here, and I'm back again to do another soloing school lesson. This time I'm going to be bringing you the subject of arpeggios, and we're going to look at arpeggios and how we can take arpeggios and turn them into music, because as many of you will probably be aware, you learn arpeggios and you play arpeggios. This is very much my style of teaching. I believe that if you practice scales, you play scales. If you practice arpeggios, you play arpeggios. The battle in learning to express yourself musically is being able to break out of scales and arpeggios and turn those things which are really just suggestions of notes that sound good in certain contexts and turn those into musical ideas, right? But of course, first we're going to need to start with the arpeggio itself. So what is an arpeggio? Well, many of you will already know that an arpeggio is when you take the notes of a chord and play them separately. So we're going to be dealing in A or A7 today. So if we think of an A major triad, doesn't matter how we play it, every time I play one of those A triads, it contains the notes A, C sharp, and E. So in order to play an A major arpeggio, we would play the notes A, then C sharp, then E. Now, of course, they don't need to be in that order, but A, C sharp, E, and so on. Now, I'm at that stage now where it's quite instinctive for me to add other notes to that. But of course, the first thing we need to practice is the arpeggio itself. So please do ignore when I go off on tangents like that. So yeah, we're going to begin with, we're kind of talking caged positions. I just want to deal with this in one area of the neck, just to help you get started with this as a concept. And this is something that I'm dealing with my students on Skype all of the time, and my supporters on Patreon, in lessons with those guys. This fretboard knowledge, arpeggio and scale knowledge, and then more importantly musical application, is something that I'm always covering. So we're just going to be dealing around this 9th to 12th fret area here. This would be the caged chord voicing. This would be a C-shaped chord. It's an A major chord though, so it's 12, 11, 9 and 10 on the middle 4 strings. Now you could bar with that first finger and play the 9th fret on the high E string. That would give you a fuller A major chord. But we're just really talking about visualization. I see this chord voicing, and then I play musical vocabulary around that. But that would be our basic chord to start with. Now an A major arpeggio would contain the notes A, C sharp, and E. This is just a triad arpeggio. We'll begin with that and then turn it into a dominant arpeggio. So that'd be 12 on the A string, 11 on the D, 9 on the G, 10 on the B, 9 on the high E, and then 12 on the high E. Now that's something that we can just practice up and down. Now that is the type of thing that you've probably seen. It's not really the guitar to be doing this on, but you see that type of thing in the metal and the shred. I mean, there are essentially no notes in the middle there, right? The action on this guitar is ridiculous. I can get my pick, my lovely V pick. Video is brought to you by V picks. I can get this under the strings on my guitar. It touches the string just a bit. This pick is 2.75mm thick, so the action on this guitar is ridiculous. Yeah, so you're probably used to hearing those swept. I would actually encourage you to practice alternate picking these. Because if you can confidently play something like that with alternate picking, then you're going to certainly find yourself in a position where you don't have to think so much about your picking. I hesitated there, right? So I would spend a bunch of time just getting used to that. Now, once you're comfortable with that, it's worth adding in the flat 7. Now, what is the flat 7? Well, we need to know the intervals of what we're playing so far and then add this note to that. So as I said, this is an A major triad. We're playing the root, the 3rd and the 5th. And they appear in that order: root, 3rd, 5th. Root, 3rd, 5th. So we can add the flat 7. It's a tone below the root. So we can add that at both the 10th fret on the A string, and we can add it at the 12th fret on the G string. these arpeggios everywhere in the long run, but in that early stage, just practicing this. Now, of course, when I'm doing that, I'm visualizing that chord form. You can see that chord form all the time. Now, when we're practicing arpeggios, they don't sound overly musical. The first thing I feel that we need to practice introducing, especially to this, a dominant 7 arpeggio, is adding the flat third in. So we want to play a note a semitone below the third. So in this case, if this is our root and this is our third, then the flat third will be a semitone below that third. We can do the same on the high E string. Instead of playing 9, we can play 8 to 9. Now that's starting to sound a little bit more musical, right? And I did add a few more notes in there towards the end, but for the most part that's what we're wanting to practice. Now I have that everywhere. No matter where I'm playing, I can add that sound in. We're just getting to grips with it here though. Now when you're comfortable with that, when you can confidently play that as an idea, it's about turning it into music. So the other thing that we can map around this scale fingering here, around this chord fingering, is the major pentatonic scale. Now when we combine these two things, the major pentatonic, and of course I've covered this major pentatonic scale in previous soloing school videos, so do go back and check those previous lessons out. When we start combining those, we have the major pentatonic and the arpeggio, and we're adding that flat third in, we start to find something that sounds a lot more like the jazzy blues music that you're probably used to listening to. So the thing that we're going to practice moving forward is just getting to grips with playing arpeggios and then playing scales. So I like to practice by playing 4 and 4. I play 4 arpeggio notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 scale notes. 4 arpeggio notes, 4 scale notes. 4 arpeggio notes, 4 scale notes. 4 arpeggio notes, 4 scale notes. Now I could do that all day long. Getting carried away there, right? Now that's about balancing our phrasing. That's about having sounds of the chord and then sound of the scale. So to close this up, once you spent the time getting comfortable with the arpeggio fingering, now it's about learning some licks and really learning the lick and then relaying it back to the arpeggio that you've learned. So I'm going to teach you a few licks now. Learn these, internalize these. You're going to be able to play these in any key because as long as we can move that chord form, so as long as we can visualize that, you'll be able to play it anywhere. So the first lick is going to sound like this. Now it doesn't matter how we play the rhythm of it. Really not important. It's about the pathway through the phrase. So I'm sliding from 10 up to 11, then 9, 11 on the G, then 10 on the B, then I'm alternating between that 10 and 11 on the G, 12 on the B. I'm doing a little, I guess, half step bend. You could also bend that tone. because that is in key. But a little bit bluesier to do that quarter step bend or half step bend. Now, when I play that, it's very major pentatonic in sound, right? Very, very major pentatonic in sound. So now I want to juxtapose that with something that's a lot more like the arpeggio in sound. So I'm going to play this. So what am I doing there? Well, I'm starting on the 12th fret of the G string. Now that is the flat 7 of that arpeggio that we were working on. Now I'm descending the scale, 12, 11, 9. Then we're hitting 12 on the D string, then 10 up to 11 on the D string. So that's flat 7, 6, 5, 4, flat 3 to 3. And then we're going down to the root note, hitting the 5th to the 12th fret on the low E string, and then flat 7. Now if I put those two ideas together, they work, they fit with each other. So what else can we do? Well, another musical phrase that I like to do, one that I like to explore with, is on the top I can actually see the 9th fret and the 12th fret. I can connect those chromatically. And then chromatically from 8 to 9. I'm coming down the triad. So, nice little chromatic connection there. And then down that triad, 9, 10 and 9. Now, with those three ideas under our fingers, we can combine all of them into either long musical phrases, or we can just take sections of them to create new musical phrases. So maybe I go... That was a combination of two ideas, or maybe I go 3, 4. Or maybe we go like this, 3, 4. Or lastly, 3, 4. I got carried away and went all the way down the neck. There was no need for that. So that's that one position, right? And I'm not going to sit here for 25 minutes giving you all of these ideas. It's just about that one simple area. You spend all of the time getting comfortable there, and then you are safe in the knowledge that when I'm playing, I'm comfortable here. And I'm comfortable here. So if I find myself here, or carried away with improvisation there, as always, because that's a big part of what I'm about. Anyway, yeah, so if you have any questions about that, please do let me know in that comment section below. But to summarise, the focus is, of course, get comfortable with the arpeggio. You need to be able to play that arpeggio without really thinking about it. I can do that in my sleep, and that's trained me to hear what the chord sounds like, that A7 chord. getting carried away and playing that little ending phrase there. That's trained me to hear what the chord sounds like. Then when I start adding melodic embellishment around that and colours to that, I'm adding them to the chord sound, and that's really the important part. We have to keep track of that because you don't want to be stuck in that land where you say arpeggio and you think let's not even go there. It's been a long time since I've done that, because that's not what arpeggios are limited to. So, huge thank you to my supporters over on Patreon for bringing these lessons to you. They genuinely do. I make YouTube videos because guys like this and their generosity means that I can spend a lot more of my day-to-day time thinking about creating YouTube videos, buying the equipment to make YouTube videos, spending the time editing, rendering, uploading, promoting, all of that stuff. So these guys are awesome. Thank you very much for your support, guys. And if you would like to be like one of those guys, you can actually check me out on Patreon for as little as $1. Though the more you support, the more you get in return. So yeah, guys at the top get private lessons with me. I've got a study club stream that I'm doing tomorrow. That's going to be like a 2-hour stream where I'm going over a book and doing some teaching. That's a lot of fun. Credits roll, etc. So thanks very much, guys. You rock. If you would like to check us out on Patreon, you can do so by clicking this button up here. You can subscribe by clicking this button down here, and you will see 2 more of my videos here and here. Now, as I said, if you do have any questions about any of this stuff, guys, please do let me know in that comment section below. I am here to help. That's why I am on YouTube. I want to help people become better guitar players. So, yeah, much love. Thanks for all the support, and I will see you for another video soon. Laters.